Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens. And today we are going to dive deep into the Sea of Stars. That's right, we played Sea of Stars. And joining me, as always, to discuss all things video games, I am joined by Pete Busby. Hello, Pete.
Hey, how's it going? I'm always down for how many bits is this? 16, 32?
It is... Sometimes it's 16, sometimes it's 32, and it kind of depends. There are some sections where they definitely use polygons and not just sprites.
Regardless, I'm always down for an RPG where I could feasibly count the number of bits if I had to. This week's fun fact is a simple one, but one that I found super fun. So I hope y'all do too. So this one is about Mixozoa. I assume y'all have never heard of Mixozoa.
No.
So Mixozoa are these parasitic organisms, and they're considered, let me get this right from Wikipedia, so I'm not just making things up. It's a group that contains the smallest animals ever known to have lived. But that's not even what I find most interesting about Mixozoa. Here's what I find most interesting about Mixozoa. Most people, when they think of evolution, think of it as organisms becoming more complex. But Mixozoans actually went the other way. They started as free-swimming, sort of self-sufficient jellyfish creatures. Just think of a jellyfish, and eventually evolved into parasitic organisms composed of only a few cells. So just like 3 cells. So they went from full-scale jellyfishes, and they were like, nah, F this noise. We're not getting our own food anymore. And they became these tiny, tiny parasites over time.
Yeah, it's just...
They're living the dream.
Exactly.
If I could do that, I would.
Right? If I could just be like, I'm going to ride around in somebody else's stomach for a while.
Not my problem anymore. Back.
All I know is Jeremy needs to eat more food, or else it's going to be hell for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make it everyone's problem.
That's very cool. I have a fun fact, Pete. I think I shared it with you.
More the merrier.
They're trying to bring back the dodo bird.
You did
Hell
share that
yeah.
with me. I was shocked and appalled.
By popular demand, scientists have figured out how to bring back the dodo bird. It will take several years, and they'll need to find out where to put it on the island where the dodo birds come from. But they think they've got a plan for how to make a dodo bird.
They were like, yeah, global warming. Listen, dodos.
Okay, so first, you take you sequence dodo DNA. You
Sure.
get it. You figure out where the dodo DNA is.
DNA.
Second, you go find a chicken
Okay.
or a bird that has the dodo in its lineage.
Mm-hmm.
You do some gene splicing on that DNA to get it to express dodo phenotype.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take that spliced up DNA, you inject it into a egg cell and a sperm cell, and then you take an infertile chicken and an infertile rooster, and you equip them with the dodo seed and the dodo sperm.
Okay.
And then they do it.
Honestly,
Okay.
couldn't be simpler.
And
Yeah,
then
it sounds really easy, actually.
that egg will grow up to look like a dodo bird and essentially be a dodo bird.
And then, are these going to continue making dodo birds?
Yes,
Or is this
those
a one-time thing?
Those dodo birds would then make more dodo birds if you made enough of them, and they could make sex.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly, the hardest part of the process is you have to watch the chicken and rooster get it on for
Yeah.
science.
Yep. If you don't watch the rooster and the chicken climax, it doesn't work.
mhm.
That's a critical part of how how the dodo bird gets made. I think the bigger problem here is they need to find a spot on an island that is now completely habitated by humans, or mostly habitated by humans, where there won't be cats, rats, or any of the things that killed the dodo bird in the first place.
Good point.
Or diseases that might kill the dodo bird because it hasn't been around.
Yeah.
There's a bonus fun fact to your bonus fun fact. There's like one part of Canada with no rats.
Huh.
Like if you look at like the prevalence of rats in Canada, it's like a heat map, and then there's one spot where there's just none.
What
I'm gonna look
happened
up
to
where.
that
You
spot?
keep talking. They wiped them out.
What did they introduce something that preys upon rats? Is this where
No,
raid
it was like
discovered?
a government program.
Huh.
This
Amazing.
province, Alberta. Alberta has had no breeding populations of rats for over 70 years,
Wow.
thanks to its storied rat control program. No rats in Alberta.
I know how to get my name in the news.
Oh man!
What if we introduce rats?
Ratcatcher 3. I don't know if you've seen. There's a character. It's in Suicide Squad.
I was with you.
Oh,
I got you.
Yes, I remember now.
Apparently, it's the largest. I'm not going to fact check this too hard, but Mental Floss says it's the largest inhabited area on the planet that is rat free.
They're missing out. So the one other thing on that dodo fun fact is that the scientists believe that after they successfully reintroduce the dodo into existence, they might be able to try again on woolly mammoths or other such animals. And I just want to say, it seems like woolly mammoths might be a step too far, because where would we put them? Like, we're going to put woolly mammoths in a rapidly heating world? What, we're going to put them in the Arctic Circle with no snow? Like, what? We're just going to bring them back and have them starve to death? Like, that seems like a bummer.
Welcome back. You're dead.
Yeah, we spent hundreds of years trying to get this thing back, and now it's just going to... Oh, it's so hot. It's so sad. That other voice you heard earlier was the one and only Mistress of Games, Game Maker M Palladino. How's it going, M?
Hello. It's going. I don't have a fun fact. I was scrolling our fun facts channel to see if I could come up with one, but I guess we'll leave it at 3 for this episode. You're being deprived.
How's about this fun fact? How goes sorting Yu-Gi-Oh cards? And what is the Yu-Gi-Oh card you've sorted the most?
Oh God. Well, I'm moving Yu-Gi-Oh cards from one end of the shop to the other because we've changed our sorting, like our filing cabinet things. So we have 2 boxes of bottomless trap holes. So that's the most, I think.
2 boxes?
2 boxes.
And each of them is bottomless.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real problem.
Incredible.
There's also a lot of Mystical Space Typhoon, which I guess had a lot of reprints. I don't know. I don't play this game. Except when I do.
Except when you do, and then people beat you because they've put in hate cards.
Yeah. I was playing the other day. Pete, you weren't on the Discord for this. I was playing my Dark Magician deck, a classic in Yu-Gi-Oh! And all of the monsters are dark monsters. And someone played a card that says negate all dark monster effects activated on the field. I was like, why are you playing this?
Why do you even have that?
Why would you put this in your deck just to spite me personally?
Yep.
So I'm having a good time. That's
the Yu-Gi-Oh experience.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
All right, so before we discuss Sea of Stars, a reminder, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections, and you can send emails to deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. Oh, wait, let me make sure that I got the email address right. Is it deeplistenspodcast or deeplistenspod? I don't usually think. I just say it. deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. I was right. I let the doubt seep into my brain. Can't let that happen again. And you can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. That would get you access to our Discord. And that might get you on the Discord report.
The Discord report. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. This week on the Discord, I didn't check the Discord for what the Discord report was going to be.
That's fine because
What
that's
is
the
that?
email siren. That's
We've
what
never
that
heard
was.
this before.
Yep, it's the email siren. We got an email.
We got an email.
Yeah, on Sea of Stars.
Whoa.
Yeah, this comes in from Doyle. Greetings
Doyle.
from your current first place fantasy basketball king. Not no more. Not no more.
Oh, that's still happening.
Let's talk Secret of Stars. Number one, the opening sure seems like it takes a bit, especially if you have a tendency to fall asleep late playing games. But once you get past that, this is a fun Secret of Mana game mixed with a rocks, paper, scissors combat system. What did y'all think? Was it a little slow to start, or did you think it was
A little bit. Could've
Yeah,
been
the
a
whole
little-
like school training bits at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Could've-
school training wasn't. It didn't tell enough story for how long it took,
True.
in my opinion. The combat system. It's quaint, but the lack of knowing what your enemy is going to do if you don't combo break them leads to some prioritization issues near the end. I also don't feel like they promote the fact that basic attacks can get elemental attributes depending on the user, which causes some other issues where it seems mathematically impossible to break the opponent's combo. I think that they do a pretty good job of at least upfront broadcasting that you can add elements to physical attacks, but there is definitely an issue of prioritization towards the end where you don't know if you don't break something. Is it going to just kill you, or is it going to do an attack that barely matters? And until you let them get the move off once, you don't know what they would actually do. Like, I definitely had plenty of battles where I kept the locks under control, and then all of a sudden I couldn't. And I was like, uh-oh, does everyone need to be healed? Does one person need to be healed? Is this going to be an all-hitting attack? What's about to happen to me? And that can be a bummer. What did y'all think? Did you have trouble figuring out what needed breaking and what didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, once the like spinners got like once you had like 6 units of like break you had to get through too, it became a much bigger issue. Like if you get it wrong and there's only 2, like who really cares? But if you like spend your time slapping down 6, then you got a long time to switch back through.
Yeah. It's definitely like a little bit generous in that it gives you a damage reduction even if you don't get the whole thing, which is nice because it could have just been like you get hit by a full force attack, and that would suck, especially when there's a lot of lock to get through. But usually I tried to get them if I could. But if there's multiple enemies on the board, that is difficult to deal with. If they both have locks, you can only really get rid of one at a time when they're a lot of I don't even know what to call the little
Locks.
icons. They're locks.
Yeah, if there are too many locks, you can't really necessarily reach all of them, especially if they don't involve the Moonerang, which we will discuss.
The Moonerang is the only way that you can get some of those.
Yep. 3, the ability to stagger opponents is critical. Use it. They probably should have done more emphasis on this. Yeah, if you haven't been using Sarai's ability to delay enemies, it's maybe the most powerful thing in the game. So
Yes.
heads up for that.
Especially when you get a lock and it's a like 1 turn lock with 6 steps to it. You're gonna need to delay that. Otherwise it's gonna go off.
Yep, delay it or take it on the chin.
Mm-hmm.
4, collecting all the conches was pretty annoying before the end game. Wish they had a slightly better fast travel, as a lot of the most confusing environments were in some of the earliest areas, and entering the appropriate entrance is important. You definitely don't need to worry about collecting all of these your first time through. You can't get all of them. Yep, that is true. You cannot get all of the conches on without New Game Plus. Or actually, you can get all the conches, but they don't matter until New Game Plus.
They don't?
Correct. Well, the very last reward of the conches, the thing that it says if you ask what the rewards are, and it says something meta, that doesn't come up until New Game Plus. But yeah, I definitely echo. We will definitely discuss navigation on the map because it's definitely important. 5. Did the town building mechanics seem tacked on?
I haven't gone back to actually build the town yet.
I'd say yes in Mirth, which we will definitely discuss. Adding the last 2 characters seemed a bit tacked on as well, but helped add some layers to the combat strategy. Also, it's fun to see how the... spoilers, so I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
And then, all in all, cute game, gives good vibes. Could be a little more respectful of the player's time, but still, it's only 30 hours or so while trying to 100%. Great game. Yeah, and I was pretty close to 100%ing it. I'm the only person who's finished the game. Y'all are about halfway through. And it took me about 31 or 32 hours, but I did leave the game idle for a bit here and there as I walked around and stuff. So, yeah, that seems about accurate. All right, so Sea of Stars. Let's just get right into it. Em, do you want, if you have it in front of you, why don't you describe what Sea of Stars is?
So Sea of Stars, I'll just read the description. This is a Sabotage Studio game. They made The Messenger, which we played previously. We,
yes,
the royal
us.
we.
All 3
not
of us.
Me. No, I did not. Which we'll probably talk about. Sea of Stars is a turn-based RPG inspired by the classics. It tells the story of 2 children of the solstice who will combine their powers of the sun and moon to perform eclipse magic, the only force capable of fending off the monstrous creations of the evil alchemist known as the Fleshmancer.
Yes.
It is a cute little RPG made in, I believe, Canada.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Quebec City.
Yes.
Yeah, there's French in this game at points, and it's why is that in French? Yeah, there were 1 or 2 moments where something was in French, and I was like, why? Oh, because it was in Quebec. Made in Quebec.
That explains that.
So, Pete, which classics do you detect DNA of in this game?
None of them. We can't hear you, Pete.
Pete, you're muted.
Oh, God. It's like I'm on Teams at work all over again.
Oh, no.
Disgusting. Definitely Chrono Trigger. That one's a very obvious influence. I'm trying to think of other classic ones.
I think we played one last year that springs to mind.
God, did we?
Yeah.
Tell me what it is.
Super Mario RPG.
I was going to say that. I wish you hadn't told me. Now I look like a chump. I also detect Super Mario RPG in there.
What else?
Oh, God. This is too much quizzing.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine. I mean, Harvest Moon feels like it's in here a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Is one of the Final Fantasies? There's so many. There's probably one in here somewhere.
Yeah, there could be one in there. There
could be one in there. I mean, I think that those are the 2 most key: Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG. And the characters, the storytelling style, even some of the music is very Chrono Trigger. And then the action combat, the action elements of the combat are very Super Mario RPG. So why don't we start?
I have one.
Oh, go ahead. Yes, go.
I detected a lot of Golden Sun in this game. Mostly because one of the main characters looks exactly like one of the characters from Golden Sun. The one we didn't play. We played the second one a year or 2 ago at this point. But
great game.
Yeah, good game. But in the first one, there's a character named Isaac, and if you compare Isaac and Sail, you might see some resemblances. At least I did.
Yeah.
And also the basically every way that you interact with the game seems like a Golden Sun thing. Climbing up stuff, pushing blocks with like a gust of wind. It's all very
Yes, that
Golden
is very
Sun.
Golden Sun.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm having flashbacks to my youth while I was playing this, because Golden Sun was my RPG of choice as a young kid with only a Game Boy. Game Boy Advanced, I think, was the first
Yeah, it was
one.
GBA.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I think those are good call-outs. And this game is trying to make you nostalgic for other simpler times.
And it worked.
It works, and I think it does learn some good lessons from those older games too. It's not like it just completely apes them with no addition, but it's definitely borrowing heavily. So why don't we start, with the very beginning? You are Zale and Valerie. It starts in medias res with you on a mountain trail, and then flashes back to them as kids, getting trained at Moon Cradle, which is a town that specializes in training solstice warriors at this special academy. Pete, what makes someone a solstice warrior?
They were born on the solstice, Gino.
Yep. What else? They get magics.
They have magic?
There's more.
Yeah,
I
they
just
get
assume
magics.
that they have magic because they were born on the solstice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably, I don't know. If people don't know what the solstice is, the winter solstice is the shortest day of the year. The summer solstice is the longest day of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There,
So
you're caught up.
So if you're born on it, maybe you need to try harder and you'll get your magical powers.
Learn to sew.
So if you're on the summer solstice, you get fire powers. And if you're on not fire, sun powers. If you're born on the winter solstice, you get moon powers. So anyone has those powers who's listening, let us know.
Congrats.
Yeah, let us know. But also, if your powers center around tarot cards, maybe don't.
Mhm.
So yeah, they've got these powers. They have to train for many, many years, sewing and learning how to put magic into, I guess, little pieces of cloth they have. Do they ever say why the sewing is so important?
It's something like you need to create an offering for the cosmos, as I understand it. And so you need to sew really good, or the cosmos will be like, get that out of here.
Yeah. They make a really big deal out of this in that opening sequence, which lasts too long. And then I don't think they really talk about it after you do the thing with the owl, which we'll talk about.
They don't.
They don't.
Pretty much don't. It never seems to come back up. So yeah, I think maybe they could have skimped a little bit on the sewing part. But they're trying to show these kids are, they're toiling. And so it's the two central kids, Valerie and Zale, but there's a third kid named Garl, who's their friend, who doesn't have powers. He's just a good kid. He's just a good little guy.
Idiot.
Why do you say that?
No, I actually love Carl. Carl's probably my favorite.
He's a good boy.
Yes, he's a good little guy. He makes
got
them
his
sandwiches.
Eye poked out.
Yeah, so
it's your fault.
It is
Didn't
their
even
fault.
phase him, though. Carl didn't care at all.
Yeah, you got over it really quick.
Because he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use their powers to open up a cave that they're not supposed to go into until they're fully trained, and they get attacked by monsters, and they were strong enough to open up the cave, but they weren't strong enough to fight the monsters in the cave. So Garl gets attacked, and he gets his eye poked out by a monster, and then they get rescued, and they cauterize his eye with magic, but it doesn't bring your eyeball back, unfortunately. So he's got one eye from then on, and a sweet eye scar.
It's a very anime eye scar.
It is. And he basically joins you on your journey. So Zale and Valerie are tasked with defeating the Dweller of Woe, which
I'm sorry, Gino, before we move on,
mm-hmm.
Did anyone else think that the headmaster was really glib about the whole eye thing? That he was like, this will be a good lesson for you, Garl.
Yeah, maybe you learned something, you normal kid. Stop messing around with these superheroes.
We call these normies a 363 day of the year people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this 363 has lost his eye. It's who cares though?
Wasn't doing anything with it anyway.
No. So yeah, Garl basically is the best friend of Valerie and Zale, and he decides that he's going to join you on your journey, even though he has no powers. He sneaks into the mountain path and finds Zale and Valerie, and basically says, "Take me with you." So he's your third character. He has no magics though. So you Zale and Valerie have spells that they can cast, and they have MP. Garl still has MP. Or is it SP?
It's MP.
It's MP, right?
MP. Yeah.
So the MP for Garl, he does have special moves. They're just like throwing an apple to someone to heal them, or throwing enemies because he's pretty strong.
Mhm.
He's basically the Goofy of this game.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's got a shield.
Uh,
He does physical attacks. He's got a heart of gold, but maybe could be smarter.
So who's
Can
the
Goofy-
Donald?
Can Goofy cook?
No.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we've ever seen Goofy eat.
Hmm.
No one fact
Interesting.
checked that.
Well,
Um,
anyway,
I think the fifth character would be the Donald, right? Rashawn?
yeah.
But yeah, you go on your journey, and then, on the mountain trail, you get introduced to combat pretty much. How would you describe the combat, M? in Sea
So
of Stars?
if you've ever played Super Mario RPG or any of those other Mario RPGs, my touchstone was Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. You know how when you make an attack in one of those games, you can hit the A button to double bounce on top of dog.
Sorry, he's
It's
terrible.
okay.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
M.
If you recall. You can do that in this game. Your main attack is hitting with a staff for Valerie. Zale has a sword, and they also have their special magic. So Valerie has a moonerang, which you can bounce, and if you hit the correct input, you can keep going. So you can bounce a bunch of times on all the enemies. Zale has a fireball he can form, which you just have to release it at the right time, and that'll blow everybody up. It gets bigger, and then you do more damage if you release it when it's max size. Those are the basics.
Yeah, it's a lot of timing hits. You can also time blocks as well.
Yes.
So when you get attacked, if you properly time it, you can take less damage. And there is a nice accessibility feature you can turn on that they give you early in the game that does a visual indicator when you time a parry
Yes.
correctly. I would
I
turn
turned
that
that
on.
on.
I turned that
100%.
on.
There's no downside for turning it on. It's not like you don't get achievements or something dumb like that. It just shoots a little star, a little rainbow star when you block or attack with proper timing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're basically just doing those sorts of basic attacks, basic magic attacks, at least early on, and then playing with the timing. Pete, what was your favorite move to use?
I did like the moonerang just because it's fun to hit it back and forth over and over again. That definitely reminded me of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. I'm trying to think if there was other ones. Oh, the other one I really liked just because it's badass was the Guns of the Valorant, where you can basically
What?
call. Wait, what's the ship called?
Oh, the Ultimates. Yeah,
Oh.
we'll get to Ultimates. Yeah, that thing's
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically you make a buster call on your enemy, which is sweet.
Yeah, you do a drive-by with a boat wherever you are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think there's inputs for that one. I
No.
liked the timing on basically the Moonerang and When you get your fourth character, who we will eventually hit on, Sarai, she's got a move. What is the one where she jumps in the hole and then basically it's Moonerang, but she throws needles?
I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I like barely paid attention to the names, honestly.
Yeah, it's like flurry of poison or something. It basically, she jumps in and out of a hole like it's an infinite loophole situation, like Portal, and she's just throwing basically poison spikes at enemies. And those Moonerang and that poison attack, the reason why they are so good, I find, is that this game has a lock system for combat. So the lock system is every enemy, when they do special moves, there will be a certain number of icons over their head and a timer before they will execute the special move. There's timers over their head for any attack, but for special moves, they get these locks. When locks are over their head, they will have an icon that matches different attack types. So like a blade for slashing attacks, a hammer for blunt attacks, a sun for solar, moon for lunar attacks. Eventually you get poison and arcane attacks added to this as well. And each of those types, if you attack them with the appropriate type, it removes one of the locks over their head. So like the most simple lock would be a slash, just like a single sword icon. If you attack with Zale, who does slashing damage, he will remove that lock, and then the enemy does not perform their attack at all. They just get their turn skipped, basically. And your characters, you get all three of your characters need to act before the turn cycle restarts. So if you prevent someone from acting, like they won't get to even start thinking about making another move until all three of your characters have taken at least one turn. So it's really powerful. And even if you don't fully remove all of the locks, if you just remove half, usually the damage that the special move, whatever it is, will do, or healing if it's a healing move, is decreased by a pretty significant percentage. So it might be like 50% or 75%. It really depends on how many locks you remove and what the attack is. So it's a way to just kind of delete enemy turns, pretty much, if you have the proper combination of moves. And what do you think of this system in general? Like the design of it?
It's pretty unique. Yeah. Like, I can't think of another game that has anything like that. At least off the top of my head. No, yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's a really clever way to make sure that you have every character be meaningful, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, because they each have their own kind of type identity, except for Garl, who only does blunt damage, everyone has something that only they can do. Mm-hmm. Or, like, you know, they might have the easiest access to a certain type of damage. So even if you don't like using some of these characters, you'll probably be forced to. Like Sarai is, for a while, the only character who can do poison damage. So using her is almost required because you want to have poison, you need poison. You know, that it gives you a good reason to rotate the cast and experiment with folks.
It's also nice in that you can swap in and out characters in the middle of combat. And it doesn't cost any action or anything. Mm-hmm. So if you need a certain damage type, you could just swap, which is also different from like Final Fantasies, I think, where you have more than 4 characters. You
all
have
of
to
them
like
except 10. 10 does this too, with the free swapping in and out.
They also all get XP, which is a personal pet peeve of mine.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That is very great and good.
Yeah, I should say I like that. I don't like my pet peeve is when they don't all get XP.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you have to rotate people in and out, and it's a big mess. This is very simple, and even if characters are not in your party, they will still gain XP and levels. So very good choice there.
Yeah, that is a big deal, and it's also really cool because, like, the thing that Garl is good at is having a lot of defense and HP. So he's a great tank. So if you've got a character like Zale is kind of squishy, you can just swap Garl in, have him take an action, and then he'll be in place for taking the hit whenever your enemy makes their next attack. So there's not really a downside to you just swapping a person in to take a hit or swapping a person in to do one combo attack, which we'll talk about shortly. It really incentivizes you using all of the characters, which I like. And the locks, I think, prompt a lot of this. So once you get to the Elder Mist, which is at the end of this tower, he's a prophetic owl made of mist.
Yes, he is a prophetic mist owl, which we are all familiar with.
Of course. He's at the end of this mountain path that you kind of start the game on. You learn how to do magic without doing magic. Pete, what is that? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, they made it super annoying. Basically, doing magic without doing magic is a boost system. So when you land attacks, these little orbs will fly out, which you can then collect and use to enhance your future attacks.
Yeah, so when you land unboosted physical attacks, they knock orbs off. You can then spend those to power up your magic attacks or your physical attacks. And if you power up your physical attacks, they will get imbued with the element of whatever the character who's doing the attack is. So, like, if Valerie uses the charge system, she gets Lunar added to her physical attack. So, like, if you properly time her attack and boost it, for the lock system, she will do 2 blunt damage and 1 lunar damage. Zale will do the same thing for Sun. Sarai, who you get access to later, has poison. Garl, again, he doesn't have magic, so it's just blunt. It just gives him a damage boost. But yeah, it's a cool system. It's cool to add that additional damage and then elemental stuff. Did you like the boosting system, Em?
I mean, it's interesting way to solve the problems that are presented in combat. So the like lock system in particular is where you need it. But also it's just useful in that it gives a slight boost to damage and doesn't cost any MP to use. So if you need to do, like, some enemies are weak to solar or lunar magic, but if you are out of MP, you wouldn't be able to deal any damage to them otherwise. So what you can do is empower your regular attack using 1 to 3 of those orbs, and then you can deal damage to things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. So that was a good decision. It's all very very concise, I think.
Yeah, and I really like that it gives you a reason to do physical attacks, normal physical attacks. Like, there's a secondary reason beyond simply, oh, I'm out of MP.
You also gain MP back when you do regular physical attacks. So,
yep. So they give you regeneration and this extra damage boost. So it really incentivizes you to not be doing the same thing every single turn, which is, I think, smart. You can do physical attacks and then just charge those physical attacks, I guess, but there's no downside to you actually using your spells, which in other games like this, or even like Chrono Trigger, you sometimes just want to save your spells for when you're actually in a pinch. This game, it incentivizes you to use the spells, build them back up, use them again. You know, you're not scared that, oh man, I'm going to be out on MP and I'll run into a boss and then I'm screwed. What did y'all think of the healing item system? Pete, how did you like it? How did healing items work?
I like that they were all just foods. Yeah, that I got some tomato clubs from my headmaster and suddenly they're healing me. I mean, it's nice. It's, the recipes I could take or leave. I don't really care that much about crafting food. But it is a nice little twist on, like, all right, you're not just slamming potions or elixirs and whatnot. You're, like, actually eating something. Like, it was a cute little twist that didn't really, make or break the game for me, I guess I would put it.
Mm-hmm. It's cute. Like, Garl is a cook, and so when you cook items, you, like, sit down at your little campfire and then make some, I don't know, whatever.
Jam.
Yeah, jam.
Sandwiches.
Yeah, exactly. And then in combat, you can use those as you would potions. and it's fine. The cooking thing is very much a like, we funded this game on Kickstarter and this was a stretch goal thing. That and fishing.
Yeah, we will definitely cover the fishing too. What did you think of the fishing while we're talking about it? It's the way you get access to seafood, which you use in cooking.
I loved it.
It's
Best
not
fishing minigame since Ocarina of Time.
It's not the worst fishing minigame I've ever played. Although you don't have to do it. It's super extra.
Skip it.
Yeah.
You do if you want the secret ending.
Oh God.
Oh God.
The double secret ending.
I don't want the double secret ending. Don't worry about it.
Are you telling the truth?
Yes. I'm dead serious. But it doesn't take that much.
How many fish do I have to catch?
There's only 23 kinds of fish in the entire game.
That might as well be 1,000.
It doesn't.
I couldn't even name 23 kinds of fish in real life.
It might take 20 to 30 seconds to catch each of the types of fish you need. It really doesn't take. Like, you eventually get rewards for fishing, and the rewards basically make fishing trivial. They like give you a reel that reels things in faster, and a line that never breaks, and another thing that like makes the fish fatigue faster. To catch them.
If the line never breaks, then you're just there's no fail state.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is eventually they make it trivial, so you can get them very quickly.
All right.
Gino, that's why they call it fishing and not catching. Okay.
Boo. Boo.
Anyway.
But yeah, the fishing, I liked it. As someone who had to play Final Fantasy 15 recently, I prefer this fishing minigame to that fishing minigame, even though they are fundamentally very similar. I like that there's kind of a lane where you're allowed to reel in, and you're just trying to keep the fish kind of in this water that's, I guess, flowing towards you. And if you reel when they're in that zone, they don't hurt your line. If you reel when they are not in that zone, they do hurt your line. So, like, you're steering the fish and you're pressing the X button with the correct timing. And then you can even stun the fish if they jump out of the water, which is kind of fun. It's not the most involved thing, but I prefer that in a game like this. It's not the focus. It doesn't need to be Bassmasters.
I was thinking Stardew Valley's fishing minigame, because Daisy likes to play that, which is way more complicated. And this is preferred, I think. We'll have to do a test, see what they like.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever play that?
I have not.
We should play that sometime.
Well,
we'll add it to the list.
Add it to the list. Put it on the pile.
Mm-hmm.
So once you reach the Elder Mist and talk to him, it's an owl made of mist. Them? Why don't you talk to the owl?
Yeah, I didn't see any secondary sexual characteristics. I think just they.
It'd be really scary if you did.
Yeah. The Rorschach test. It gives everyone a prophecy, and it has them all declare their classes, I guess. It makes Zale a blade dancer, Valerie a monk, and Garl a warrior cook. Not warrior chef, warrior cook.
Warrior cook. He's got to earn that chef's toque.
Yep. And he gives everyone prophecies. I don't remember what they are off the top of my head. Do you remember what the prophecies were for each of these folks? Or should we cover them later? I know that Zale has a power deep inside that he needs to not be afraid of.
And the other one's something about water bridges.
Right, yeah, she's going to be able to make bridges on water, Valerie.
Yeah.
And Garl
got one too, but I don't remember what it was.
I seem to remember it being you're going to be very important. You're going to be the key to everything, but you're not going to be around to see things are not going to work out for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's coming. Prophecy. Prophecies in games, 100% hit rate. So yeah, after you leave, you then you meet the first giant. How do people get around? So this is a society built on islands.
Yeah.
And you don't have a boat, so how do you get to the next island?
So in order to get to the next island, a giant puts you in a ball and then throws you across the ocean to another giant who catches you.
So this is one of the, like, this made me laugh more than I think any joke in a game we've played this year, maybe, is that they named one of these giants that throws you Yeet.
Yeah.
Y apostrophe EET. I was like, perfect. No notes. I love
Yep. I literally took a screenshot of that when it was revealed,
it.
and I put it in the Discord. Like, these guys.
They get it.
Yep.
Yep, it's Yeet and Extol are two of the giants, and you haven't met all of the giants yet, so I won't spoil any names, but there are some more good giants.
Nice.
But yeah, they throw you to the next island, which is Sleeper Island. Sleeper Island is iconic because there's a giant dragon that's just kind of wrapped around the island. Apparently a giant dragon in an ancient battle was summoned, and the only way to defeat it was to put it asleep by playing a very melodic melody that made it sleepy.
And they are very unconcerned about this dragon. They're like, oh yeah, that dragon, it'll sleep forever. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's Chekhov's dragon will sleep forever. No problems. It'll be fine. So yeah, when you get there, you do eventually meet in the marshes, in the marshlands. You meet a girl who she's a historian, a traveling historian.
Teeks.
Yeah, a grimoire historian.
Yeah.
Or a historical grimoire is what she carries. She's got a book of stories, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and Teeks, her grimoire is magic. If it touches an item with a story, with a history of any kind, it instantly writes whatever the history was of that item. So, if you so much as bring anything cool into contact with it, you get lore, basically. And almost every bit of lore that she has will end up being prescient in some way or another. So it's not just here's the deep lore, talk to Teeks. It's usually stuff that you will eventually see the fruits of that story come true over the course of the game. Like the very first one you learn about is about a ship, a ghost ship that every night is material for a few seconds and then gets whisked away into a hell dimension. You're gonna deal with that boat.
The Vespertine is its name. I remembered.
Yes. So you learn the story of the Vespertine, and that's relevant. So Teeks is a character you want to talk to. You actually do want to talk to her. She's not like the lore Bible or something. Mm. The first town you happen across on your journey is the Stonemasons' outpost. It's a town of moles, and they got a problem. Pete, what's wrong with the mole town?
Before I get to that, I would love to tell you what the problem with the Mole Town is, Gino.
Yes.
But the Mole Town song is, for my money, the biggest banger of the first half of the game. The xylophone in that, killing it. Killing it with the xylophone.
It is very good. I'm partial to the Mega Boss music that comes up later on, when you're fighting the really tough bosses. But yeah, the town musics in this game are very good.
Can I tell you something?
I would love for you to tell me something.
It's not good. I'm gonna apologize in advance.
What?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you don't mean the song's not good? You're gonna tell us something?
No. I'm gonna tell you something that's bad. I literally right before I went into the Mole Town is when I turned my music off to listen to podcasts.
Why?
Fool.
Because the game was so long and I needed to do something. So I will have to go back and listen to that music and confirm
that music.
I'm sorry. Maybe if I had heard that music just a little bit sooner, I wouldn't have done what I did.
You wouldn't have committed a grievous mistake.
Yeah. I'm sorry to listeners and you.
Regardless of M's shortcomings as a person.
Damn.
The mole people's problem is that something is plugging up the holes in the mountain, which is an issue because the wind whistling through these mountain holes is what keeps the massive sleeping dragon asleep.
Yes. So the moles, the geomancers of the mole people dug holes into this island to basically make it a giant flute. Is it still a woodwind? Like, what would you call that?
No, it doesn't have a reed.
Doesn't
but
have a
neither
reed.
does the flute.
Stone wind?
Yeah,
Well, a
it's made
flute's a woodwind and doesn't have a reed.
Yeah, so it's not wood, so it's a stone wind. But
It's a flute. Yeah, it's still a flute.
It's a big.
Okay.
They made the island a flute.
It's an ocarina of time.
Of time.
Time. So yeah, they put this dragon to sleep, and the dragon hasn't woken up yet. But they're getting kind of concerned that it's gonna wake up if they can't get the music back on. The CD players run out of batteries, and if they don't put more batteries in, this dragon's gonna wake up and kill everyone. So you go in the pit. The problem's not. It's more adorable than you'd think, I guess. Like,
I think that's fair. Yeah.
It's a little mole man who's he doesn't understand people so well, and people don't understand him so well, so he just goes into the caves and makes trouble because people were mean to him.
Yeah, he feels unappreciated for his powers.
Yeah, so he plugs up the holes, and you get your first traversal item in the mines, which is a bracelet that lets you shoot wind bursts that lets you do sliding block puzzles.
Yep.
I was so mad when it made you do sliding block puzzles. I was like, oh no.
You didn't see that coming?
I love sliding block puzzles.
You're the only person in the world, Pete.
They are not the most
sliding
complicated
blocks
sliding
and ice
block
puzzles. They're not. They're like, it shows you basically where it needs to go.
It does for now.
Oh,
Later on,
they're gonna escalate.
It's gonna escalate, and that's where I take exception to it. But
okay.
Yeah, like the sliding block puzzles early on, I don't care about they're easy. You know exactly where they need to go. But later on, it's like sliding block puzzles. But yeah, there are traversal items in this game. Like there is some platforming, which I found kind of novel. And did you find that additional layer to the gameplay to be interesting, compelling?
Yeah. I mean, as soon as you start putting block puzzles, and then you get a grappling hook next, and you start seeing there's a wooden thing hanging over there that I think I'm gonna have to grapple onto, but I don't have the grappling hook yet. You start to see more of the DNA of this thing. Is very Zelda. You do a dungeon one way, and then as soon as you get the item at the center of it, you can then go back and do it a whole different way. It's always very I'm putting two and two together,
Mm-hmm.
The hook shot / grappling hook has to be the single most popular navigation tool in all of RPGs, right? Like nothing comes close unless you pick boats. And I feel like that's cheating.
Oh yeah, I mean, Bionic Commando, the one that we played, should have been terrible.
His wife, Gino.
I know it was his wife. I know it was his wife, and it's a shame that neither of you had to watch Final Fantasy Unlimited to find out that the main character's bullets in his gun are his sister.
What? So dumb.
Check that podcast out if you want to hear more about. Do I spoil one of
That
the
seems
worst
like a
things?
spoiler.
One of the worst things that I'm not. I don't care about spoiling Final Fantasy Unlimited. It doesn't deserve to have someone approach it with no knowledge. But it's one of the worst Final Fantasy things we've ever encountered. So what I was
saying something.
Yeah, what I was getting at was that Bionic Commando, by all rights, should have been a bad game, but the grappling hook, the concept of a grappling hook is so good that it made up for so many shortcomings. And this game's grappling hook's pretty good. The grapple-ow.
It's good. You can use it on enemies, too, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, that is the biggest thing for me. Like, I had a hard time landing the opening hits that you can land on enemies when I had to run up and, press X on them. But using the grappling hook, you can attack them from far. And so that unlocked a lot more successful opening attacks, which means one enemy starts a little damaged, and you start with access to the magic without magic system with your very first attack.
I
which
hate
is
that name,
cool.
by the way.
Yeah, it's not charge system, boosting
Yeah,
system. Let's just call it the
I guess
boosting
I don't have
system.
It's the
a better
live
solution.
mana system, is what they call it.
Is that better? Do you like live mana, Pete?
No,
Oh
I
well.
don't.
Well, these are the two options you got. Sorry. Yeah, so you get to the bottom, you meet this little mole, you get the ability to push stuff. Then you meet you go to Pirate Town, Brisk. It's the biggest town in the game.
It's huge.
You can find a bunch of rainbow conches there, which are the collectible of this game. They are one of a few collectibles, but I think this is the most collectible of the collectibles. It's a interesting location, and you at this point meet a band of pirates who are going to help you on your journey.
Can I ask too? Minor
Yes.
point, but did y'all do the BS spinner at any point?
Yes.
I did.
How many tens how many times did you spin it, Em?
Probably like 30.
It never changes, right? It actually is a BS spinner.
I think it might be.
You can cheat.
You can cheat?
you?
Yeah, so there's a person outside of the BS spinner who, for a price, will tell you what the next number is going to be.
Is it worth it? I don't even know what the prize is.
It's a rainbow conch, so you're going to have to
That's
do
what
it
I
if you
figured.
want
So
the true
it's
ending.
worth it. Yeah, it's worth it once. I got to fish and I got to get all the conches for this dumb true ending. This better be the best ending I've ever seen.
So
in
the
my life.
fishing you don't need to do for the true ending. The conches are the only thing that block the true ending. The fishes unlock a secret thing
Oh,
that we can
God.
talk about next show if you do it or not.
Okay.
Fine,
I've
I'll do
done
the
it.
Fishing. For our listeners.
I'll do a little bit of fishing.
One thing too that this talk of endings brings up that I don't think we've mentioned is every once in a while there are like interstitial cutscenes that are animated, like actually animated, and they're super good looking. I was
Yeah.
always excited when one of these scenes came up.
They're nice.
Yeah.
It's usually for the really cinematic points. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I liked those cutscenes. They had a good art style to them. I think they were used sparingly, and I think that went a long way.
Mhm.
Is this game juice, Em?
No.
No. Okay.
The
There's a
Is
game,
the
moment-
fishing? I feel like the fishing.
I
is.
will tell you where the game juice is, though. Do you want to
Okay.
know?
Yes.
Or do you want to guess?
So I am going to propose a new category in Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Based on one of the
Juiciest
moments in this
game?
game. Yes, the juiciest game. Not the juiciest game, like the juiciest moment
Mm-hmm.
or something. I don't the moment that most exudes juice. But what is the game juice that you were going to call out, Em?
Well, I was going to ask if you had any guesses of where I was going to say the game juice was.
I think when you hit the successful timings and it shoots the little
Correct.
star and gives you the little ping.
Yes. It's about feedback. So exactly, it's where like things react to the player doing something. So when the little star flies out, that's game juice. That's as simple as it gets.
They give you that dopamine. They're like,
Yeah.
good job, pat you on the head and give
Gold
you 2
star.
extra damage.
Yeah, if your controller shakes a little bit, that's also game juice.
Every time your controller shakes, that's the juice.
Mhm. Specifically when
Ooh.
something good happens.
I wish do you guys know the history of the Rumble Pack off the top of your head? Like I wish I knew who was like, let's just put a lopsided weight in this controller and shake it around.
I don't know.
I'll have to look it up.
I do not know the history of the Rumble Pack, other than it's great.
It is.
What a great
Whoever
invention.
came up with that, genius.
But yeah, this section of the game, you get the pirates. You go to a wizard's dungeon. Like the pirates are offering to take you to where you need to go, so you can defeat the Dweller of Woe. And first, they need you to go to a wizard's abandoned lab so that you can get a coin of undead accord. which is supposed to be a coin that basically, if you throw it into an undead thing, it has to do what you say once. So that they want you to do that. What did you think of the pirate crew?
I liked Arm Wrestle Guy. He was fun. I didn't understand. So Arm Wrestle Guy's whole gimmick is when his shirt rips off, he gets super, super strong.
Yeah.
And like very muscly. But I didn't understand which way the gimmick went. So like, is he normally very skinny and the magic makes him big? Or is he actually very, very big and the magic makes him look skinny for deception?
My understanding is that the shirt, when he rips it, is enchanted and makes him super strong for like 10 seconds.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's the ripping of the shirt that gives him huge muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Got it.
And
that
then
makes
the shirt
more
comes
sense.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That's a cool superpower, by the way. I would take that.
Immediately when they were like, we need to do an arm wrestling contest in order to decide if you're going to do this side quest for us. And it was that guy. I was like, his shirt's going to rip off and he's going to be buff as hell. And then it did that. And I was like, vindication.
Got it.
Game's
This
good.
also, this part, Yeet is hands down the best joke in the whole game. But this section already has the second best joke of the first half. When they talk about one of the pirates is a wind mage who can only perform wind magic when he's blindfolded. And the way they explain it is he found out when he put on a pirate costume while he was already wearing another pirate costume. So he's got 2 eye patches.
Yeah.
Yep. That's great. Nathan, who does
Kennethan.
Kennethan, he always says, I'll do
My
something or my
name
name's
is
not Kennethan. And
Yeah.
I don't think his name is Kennethan.
His name might not be Kennethan.
It's a dumb name.
Yeah. And then
I think
Yolande,
so. Wait. I'm sorry. Quick poll.
Yes.
Gino, how are you pronouncing it?
I pronounced it Nathan.
And M, how are you pronouncing it?
Kennethan.
I was pronouncing it Keenathan. So I'm glad we all picked something different.
Excellent. This is the magic that was robbed from us when voice acting entered games. Was debating Aerith or Eris.
Oh, yes.
Yolande,
Yolande apparently knows she's in an RPG because she's talking about how they went up against a boss and then they just drank a bunch of their elixirs and then 26 elixirs later they got through it.
Were they describing Sephiroth when they were talking about that
I think
boss?
so.
Yes.
I felt like
Yeah.
Sephiroth.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, and then later there's we're a little early for it, but there might be a betrayal involved. And then you come back and she's like, why do you look so sad? Did your mentor turn out to be the bad guy all along? You're like, yeah. She's like, damn.
Sorry.
She knows all the tropes, and I found that very amusing.
Yeah, I like that she's the fourth wall breaking character.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like that she's got a million middle names.
Yes. And
That
I
is
think
true.
all of those are true. Kennethan's name is not Kennethan, and Yolande has all of those middle names. And we're going to find all of that out probably in the credits.
You will find that out earlier than that, but your RPG senses are strong. But yeah, and then there's the most suspicious pirate captain in the world.
What's her name?
It doesn't matter because, well, it's like Keely or something.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, wearing just constantly dropping her pirate hook and ill-fitting pirate gear.
Also,
and yes,
anytime Yolande? I've already forgotten.
Yolande.
There's an A. Got it. Again, pick how you want to pronounce anything. But every time Yolande tries to talk about what their eventual plan is and she cuts her off immediately, not suspicious in the least.
Yeah.
No.
Nothing,
but
nothing suspicious about her.
It's very good when you meet your fourth character, Sarai,
Mm-hmm.
who is never around when the captain is around. And there's a lot of times where she'll just like, so her whole thing is she's got daggers that can like rip holes in reality and teleport you. And she can like step through it to teleport someplace. And there's a lot of times where she'll just like cut a hole, teleport away, and then the captain will walk in from the other side of the screen.
That was what I was going to talk
With the
about.
exact same hairdo somehow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that eventually she reveals that she's the captain, and everyone's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah,
stupid.
obviously. We were waiting for you to tell us.
She's like,
We're
why
wearing
didn't
a
you
hat.
say anything? You're like, why would we bring it up? You didn't say anything either.
We wanted to let you have this. It was your secret to tell. Yeah, so like you go get the coin of undead accord. You think that they're going to take you on a very nice big boat to this island. Instead, they have a little raft that Nathan can pushes with his wind magic. But they get you to the island, and unfortunately, the island where the Dweller of Woe is cursed. Once you go on that island, you can't leave because the Dweller of Woe's magic keeps you there. So you basically wander around for a bit in the early part, in the early part because you need to deal with some of the stuff on the island. So first, you get to the town. Do you remember the name of the town's inn?
Yeah, it's the first stage of grief.
Yep.
Yeah, so the way that the dwellers work is they eat people, and this dweller, it hypnotizes one citizen every few weeks, it seems like, and then lures them to its lair in a mansion and then kills them and eats them. So all the people just go to the first stage of grief and talk about how long their lives are going to be and how they're all going to get off this island, what is the first stage of grief for those who don't get the joke?
Denial.
Yeah. So when you go in there and you tell them, like, yeah, we're going to defeat the monster, they're like, oh, sure you are, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. We're all going to go home and it'll be great.
And then we're all going to leave the island. It's going to be great.
Yep.
And then when somebody gets mind controlled and just sort of walks out of the bar, the bartender just goes, hey, everybody remember 10 seconds ago when nothing at all happened? That was so boring.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I really like that. And I believe at this point, Garl, like you try to save a person who got hypnotized, and you try to basically short circuit it and go take on the Dweller before you're supposed to, and Garl gets hypnotized, and then you need to use poison to make him unconscious so that he won't like get himself killed, and then you have to go on an entire side quest before your master, who you're supposed to meet the like headmaster of the school and then 2 fully trained solstice warriors so that you can defeat the Dweller of Woe together, all 5 of you. But you have to do this whole quest line before they even show up. And you have to take on a necromancer named Romaya. What did you think of that whole section? Where you get the grapple out and everything.
You know what? I always appreciate the little like affinity chart. Like it's a Wizard of Oz situation where there are 3 witches, one good, one bad, one neutral, which I'm curious to see what the neutral one's like. But you meet the bad one, you have to kill her. But I always appreciate, I don't know why, but I like alignment chart stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. I like the 3 sisters. They're fun. Yeah, I like the Duke also in the side quest. He's like a butler. He's a zombie butler who the necromancer has risen and like enslaved to basically do menial tasks for her. He doesn't seem super thrilled with it, but he's got some good lines. He doesn't want to fight you. He's kind of chill for a zombie. And then yeah, you go to the Dweller of Woe's lair. I love that level. Like that level's got some game juice, I think, in the the mist.
Mm.
And every time you beat an enemy, like the enemies are vulnerable to only solar and moon magic because solstice warriors are supposed to be strong against the Fleshmancer's minions. And when you defeat the enemies in any room, that clears of mist, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and then ghosts show up and give you helpful tips.
I have a question about this level.
Yep.
There is a hallway where there is a child in a chair, like a ghost.
Yep.
Is there any way to talk to that kid?
No, he's just a spooky
Okay.
ghost.
Just gets cold.
Yeah. I was wondering about that, but
Yeah. That one's just a vibe thing. Like, even
Gotcha.
after you defeat... I went back in there after I defeated the Dweller of Woe to see if that would clear up the situation. Nah, that ghost kid's still there. He's still in that chair.
Good to know.
There doesn't seem to be a way to do it, unless maybe someone will discover something later on. But up until now, the internet has not figured anything out.
Mhm.
What did y'all think of the Dweller of Woe sequence?
So this was interesting because you've got a lot of things going on in this fight. There's your headmaster who is holding a rune in order to weaken the Dweller of Woe. And then you have your two characters. Garl goes up onto the roof in order to open a hole at one point because you need to have the light of the eclipse on the Dweller. And also your two mentor figures are here helping, and they have interesting attacks. They're doing stuff with floating shapes and
Lasers.
yeah.
Well, one of them is. The other one's just kind of a punch boy.
Yeah,
True.
just hitting stuff.
Yeah. And then you have to weaken it, and it's got a lot of health. And then at the end of it, you're all ready to beat up the core, and then what happens?
Well,
You're betrayed.
You're betrayed.
Betrayal.
Your mentors, the two older Solstice warriors, they didn't like being trained as Solstice warriors. They hated the sewing, and they're willing to destroy the whole world so that there are no more Solstice warriors.
What's their end game here? How do they think this is going to turn? Are they just operating a cosmic Ponzi scheme? And they're for 50 years, it'll be great for us. And then the world ends.
It seems like they want to break the cycle so that no one has to go through what seems like some very rudimentary training that you did at
sewing
school.
And push-ups.
Yeah. Oh my God, they made us run around in the training hall a while.
This unfathomable cosmic power we have, that's cool and everything, but I had to do a lot of push-ups and sew a lot, and that was a real bummer. Now, to be fair, the Solstice Warriors are charged with killing these dwellers, which are monstrosities that can kill them. And if they don't deal with them, everyone's mad at them.
Yes.
So I guess the dwellers that's more their concern, is they don't want to die fighting one of these dwellers and being forced to do it, and have their entire life dictated by the cycles of the moon and the sun. Which I get it.
Too bad.
Yeah, reasonable, but world ending. So make a choice.
Yeah, you probably don't want to turn over a core to some sort of dark creature to a guy called the Fleshmancer.
Also,
a very, very sinister name.
Yes. We didn't even talk about how there's a shadowy group of figures who show up in a bunch of cutscenes before this. And they're all wearing masks, and the only thing they refer to each other as is a number. They're 1 through 4. And they're the guys that show up and are like, okay, time to go. And then your mentor figures walk through a portal, and at this point we don't know where they end up, but we think that something is going on with those mask guys.
Very Organization 13.
Yes,
true. This game made me think about something that I want to talk about, but I don't want it to become a discussion about Final Fantasy.
That's fine. I will do my best.
Okay, just try, Gino. That's all I
I'll try.
So this game made me think about the trope of child soldiers in video games, which it happens a lot, right? Where these kids are drafted in this army and have to fight. And I just wonder two things. One, why is it so popular? And I have a theory. I have two theories, actually. And two, have we gotten to the point where we don't need it anymore?
Well, I want to hear your theories first,
Okay.
and then I'll respond.
So my first theory is that the whole idea of child soldiers was so popular because video games were considered a child's medium. So if you ask, okay, like how do we make these stories immersive for these kids who are playing it? Is we make the characters children too.
Yes.
Which I wonder if we're past that because, you know, there are a lot of adults playing games now. We don't need to pander to dumb, stupid children.
We need
That's
adult
theory.
soldiers.
Exactly.
Bring
Theory
back
2.
adult soldiers.
Okay.
Theory 2, and this is a more modern theory. And I think it's a more interesting one. I think we've gotten to the point where the world seems sort of stuck. So, like, I feel like a lot of people find themselves in situations in their lives where they're like, how did I get here? It just sort of happened. I don't like it here. I wish things were different. And I feel like the whole predicament of child soldiers sort of creates that same sort of existential dread. I had no choice. The world just sort of forced me into it, and now I'm stuck here. I mean, granted, being a child soldier is much worse than sort of like not really liking your job, but all the same, you know, we have the struggles we have.
I think I added addendum to that theory that the idea that people are trapped in their predicaments, the child soldiers often in these games are agents of change through violence and destiny. And so as wielders of fate, they can enact righteous violence to enact change. So I think that that's also something that's going on here. You're kind of selling a vision of radical transformative change to the world that can be accessed by basically young, optimistic minds.
So that's why they have to be children. Right. Okay.
Hey, look, we got to the Marxist reading of this game. We did it.
I thought that would be a Act 2 thing.
It's all over. Everything's Marxist.
So I lean towards the first reading that we just have to market towards kids. This is also like the young adult novel conundrum, where like why was what was it? The Hunger Games. Why was it so important that all of the people who were chosen for the Hunger Games kids? It's because we have to market this towards teenagers. Same thing for all those dystopian novels.
Or like in Gundam, when it's like, who should pilot these giant, super advanced battle robots? Oh, these orphans we have lying around.
Only in some Gundams.
Sometimes they're not orphans. They're always kids.
They're always kids. But sometimes
they have families.
Yeah. Sometimes the family is the problem. Yeah. So.
But yeah, I think it is a bit of targeting towards kids. It's also a bit of, power fantasy that, you might be a kid, but there's something about you that's going to allow you to take down what's wrong with this society through your magical uniqueness, which happens to usually coincide with the ability to fight things.
Yeah.
Where's a game that just like there's a kid who's got a radical ability to persuade? Like this kid went to school
Code
for rhetoric. No, that's mind control. That's different.
It's not a game.
I mean, Phoenix Wright maybe. Except he's an adult now.
He's an adult. He's too old.
Yeah.
He's a million years in anime.
But I mean,
years.
He was doing the same thing as a kid.
That's true.
He had to get, Case Closed. Did you ever watch that anime?
Yes, I did. That anime is great. I've seen Detective Conan.
Detective Conan, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think there's fruit here. You can have a kid who's just like gifted instead of with magic. What if they're very persuasive? Get on that, someone. Not me, though.
Some rhetorician out there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that this section of the game is really interesting. Great points, Pete. I like the turn of the mentors, even though if it's a bit cliche. They really got bad motivations. And I do like that Zale and Valerie are like, what the hell? Like, this is stupid. They're irredeemable. Like, your mentors suck.
Idiots.
They didn't just betray you, they're also stupid.
See, I also just want to point out that earlier when you were having conversations with these two, the headmaster was always going like, oh yeah, they're gonna go off and defeat the Dweller, and then every time there would be a like cutaway to them, and they're just like dot dot dot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't see the the heel face turn coming based on that alone, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah, for sure.
They make one good point.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously their plan's terrible, but they do make one good point. When I forget which one, basically says something along. Somebody's like, "Well, look, this is the last Dweller, and once we take this one out, it's done anyway." And they're like, "How would we ever know that? Like, this is a forever war we found ourselves in. Whether or not there's another Dweller, we'll have to keep preparing as if there would be forever and ever." That's the one good point they make. That this is sort of an unwinnable war they've set up for themselves.
Yeah, I've that is a good point they make. The answer is not to empower the people what makes the dwellers.
So let's just give the best Dweller all his power again, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, it'll
There's
be
a weird
okay.
jump
They're on the good
Yeah.
side now, so it's not going to be their problem. I do also appreciate just a bit of storytelling that happens in the battle with the Dweller of Woe. Like at first it looks smaller, and then you get the full power of the eclipse, and it shows its true form, and it's like this giant horrifying monster. I like that. I also like that the two mentors you have, Brugraves and Erlina, Brugraves and Erlina. Brugraves sucks. He's the like punch monk, like the lunar monk. And Erlina does crazy amounts of damage with like laser beams. And I like that they have canonically, like through gameplay, they have shown you that Brugraves kind of sucks at being a solstice warrior, and Erlina's really gifted. That will come up, but I really appreciated it. Like Brugraves does like no damage, and Erlina like can take the thing down solo if she wanted to.
I actually
Yeah,
didn't
he also
realize
doesn't
he was
seem to-
supposed to suck.
What'd you say, Em?
I didn't realize he was supposed to suck. I thought he just did because
Because he's punching things and she's using sun lasers.
yeah.
Well, you get some more backstory on them later, and him sucking is kind of a key thing.
He doesn't seem to think much either, you know?
No.
He seems kind of along for the ride.
Yep, he is easily swayed.
I also want to say before we get off of them, the comparisons to Golden Sun, Soteros and Minardi were the two like I forget what they called adepts in Golden Sun 1, who do a heel face turn pretty immediately and betray you. And as soon as I saw these two, I was like, you pieces of shit.
Suspicious.
She,
Do we find out?
yes.
Do we find out why she has horns?
That's what I was about to say. I was like, she has horns.
I think it's just a headdress.
Oh, it's not actually horns.
I don't think so, but they don't come. It never comes up.
Got it.
Yeah. So after this, and while you're saving Garl in the previous quest, you use the coin of undead accord to like get the thing you need to save Garl, the MacGuffin to save Garl. So you don't have that. So now you have to get the Vespertine, which was your mission that you're doing with.
No, hold on. We're not there yet.
We're not?
No, we skipped the important plot point that happens between the fight with the Dweller and getting the Vespertine, which is those two fuckers get away and they blow up. Well, the Dweller coming back is what blows up a town.
Right.
Yeah.
They take the core of the Dweller of Woe, and then they get a blood eclipse, which allows the acolytes to turn the core, which was just a core, from the Dweller of Woe, which was a pretty weak Dweller, into the Dweller of Strife, which is apparently the strongest Dweller that's ever existed.
Yeah, it killed dozens of Solstice warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your teacher who like fought the Dweller of Strife the original time, he was the only survivor. Once he hears that that's coming back, he just like pieces out on being a Solstice warrior anymore.
He's just like, I'm out, guys.
Yeah. Let me retire in peace, please.
And they're like,
Yeah.
you know, the world's ending, right? Like, how long do you think this retirement's going to last? And he's like, guys,
I do not care.
There's nothing you could say to me that will make me fight that monster again. Yeah, so that thing escapes. It blows up Brisk, which is the nearby town, and that pirate town that you've been to before. You have to rescue people from the burning town. Then you have to go get the ship, the Vespertine, so that you have a ship with enough cargo space to move the townsfolk who do not want to be there anymore after it blows up to a new location. So that is what allows you. That is what prompts you to get the Vespertine. Vespertine's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like the concept there. You step on the ship and then it portals away to a hell dimension, and you.
The captain
Yeah.
created it to punish his crew eternally for mutinying against him, which is like mean but badass.
Mhm.
I love that, and I love that the whole conceit is that he's put them in this dimension because they mutinied on him, and the woman who pilots the ship, Hortense, she's the best navigator what's ever lived, so he can't make a storm strong enough to sink the ship, and she can't sail well enough to get out of the storm.
Hmm.
It's a nice balance there.
Pretty good.
But yeah, you have to do a bunch of puzzles, and then you eventually fight the Stormmaker,
The Storm Lord or whatever.
Stormbringer.
Yeah,
Who summons the craziest, most killer seahorse in all the world.
It's real
Yeah,
big.
that thing's great. That thing's
It's got
great.
a sword for a nose.
Mm.
Yeah, and it shoots green flames. It's great. So yeah, you fight him. You get the ship. You use the ship to move all the people to a new town. And Garl, because he's really cool and is really nice to all of the survivors, they let him name the town. And he names it Mirth.
Good name,
Yeah.
by the way. Garl did a good job on that one.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Did
Garl's
anyone
a good
else
namer.
think when the townsfolk just started chanting Garl that they were going
They
to name the town Garl?
Yeah, they were just going to name it
did.
after him.
And I was like, that's a dumbass name for a town.
Yeah.
Nah, they just gave him first pick on the name.
This is also where you run into the crypts.
Mm.
Yes.
What's
Do
in
you know
there?
what that's about?
I had to look it up.
I
but
know.
Now I do.
As soon as
Yeah.
I got in there, I was like, I see.
Yes. As soon as I saw the first thing, I was like, I see.
So
And why don't you explain what the crypt is all about?
the crypt is where all the Kickstarter backers got their name in the game.
Yep.
And the bigger you donated, the bigger your statue is. So every section, there's like a lot of sections. It has
It's
like
huge.
50 people in it.
More
So-
of each section, you mean, has 50 people in it? Yeah, there's
Yeah.
and there's
And there's
like thousands.
yeah.
So I
I
was
looked at
wondering-
one and then left.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need to do this whole thing.
Yeah.
I was wondering when I was walking through the crypt, so I looked at the numbers, and I think it was like if you wanted one of the biggest statues, you had to donate at least like, let's say $150. That's like not exact, but that's roughly what we're talking here. And it made me wonder how much like coding time would it be required to make one of those big statues? Like how much
Oh, a
art
lot.
time would that
A lot.
take?
A lot.
So much.
I would-
Is it like worth $150? Is it like too much coding for $150?
I mean, I bet it probably took each of those statues probably took someone like a couple hours to a day, depending on how complicated. If you're really good at pixel art,
Yeah. I mean, the smaller ones don't have custom things, do they?
No.
Uh,
But
these-
the lowest tier just gets tombstones with names.
Mm. Mm.
Some of them get, I think, custom statues, but just like you get what you get sort of deal. And I
Yeah.
think the highest was you're working in conjunction with a like dev
Right.
to get the statue you want.
Mm.
yeah, and those statues are very elaborate
Yeah.
and bespoke.
There's like one was like a family and their dog that I saw. It was like
Yeah.
3 people together. It was cool.
I think I saw that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone like where they were like a ninja or something. It was like
Mhm.
them as a ninja. So yeah, they definitely went whole hog on any of the
Do we-
Kickstarter backers.
Yeah. Do we know
Big
how
ones.
much this generated in Kickstarter money?
I
I
did
don't.
not look that up. Let me-
Enough to
That's
get a
awesome.
fishing mini game.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a fishing mini game. Here. This game
Let me look it up.
pledged Do you want to guess the number? Are you looking?
I'm
'Cause
gonna
I
guess
have-
3 million.
Are we
Okay.
doing Price is Right rules? I'm gonna guess 3,000,001.
Okay, hold on. I gotta convert this.
What is it?
Oh,
Euros? What do you?
it's in Canadian.
It's in Canadian dollars.
Damn
Oh,
it!
okay.
So in equivalent, that's not as much. It's $1.2 million.
I should have guessed $1.
Yeah.
I'm closer.
Damn it.
Well, there you go. So
Okay, that's
it's
cool.
it's not the most that I've ever seen on Kickstarter. It's not like the
Well, how much did that potato salad guy get?
I don't know, but
Not
like
a lot.
Critical Role does a Kickstarter every so often, and they get like $5 million on day one. So
And this is a game people can play.
yeah, you could actually do something with this. In order to get that custom model too, you have to have given $2,000. Sorry,
Oh, I was way
Not-
off.
Oh,
Not-
that's way.
not-
That's
not-
yeah.
not two.
That pays for
yeah,
itself.
I'm sorry for screwing up the numbers so bad. I don't know what I was looking at.
Maybe 150 is like the slightly nicer
Yeah.
statue. But yeah, $2,000. Yeah, that pays
sounds
for
much
itself.
more reasonable.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that's to design the Crypt Walker, which is the spirit you see when you go
Oh.
in there. I
What are
lied.
you doing to us?
I lied. I'm sorry.
These twists and
I-
turns.
I did not read the description fully. That is a one backer received that. 400 backers received the one that is 200 Canadian,
So,
which
yeah, that's
is
like 150.
design your custom monument.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Aha! I win.
Well,
You're right.
whoever designed the Crypt Walker did a good job.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
sick.
it's a cool design.
It's like a lantern at first, and then you help the lantern out by lighting it, and then
It's like a Chinese
horse,
dragon.
deer.
Yeah.
A deer thing picks it up and is holding it from then on. It's cool.
Mhm.
So yeah, you get the Vespertine. This lets you explore the world map. Now you've got a boat.
got
and
a
you can
boat.
freely boat around. There's a bunch of islands that are inaccessible. It's a shame you'll never be able to get on them. Oh well. What a waste of design time and
Yeah,
space.
I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, there's
Just world
stuff
building.
underwater.
Yep.
It's a shame that'll never come up.
Mm.
So yeah, you at this point get funneled towards the
Atlantis,
Oracle of
basically.
Tides.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's sea people. You need to go see a guy who will tell you your future and like point you in the right direction.
And
So you get
we
the
got-
ability to breathe underwater.
More foreshadowing that the ninja is sketchy when he's like, you shouldn't be here at all. And she's like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm
Don't
sure we'll
mind
find out
me.
something about that.
The Oracle's like, well, I'm going to give everyone who belongs in this world a prophecy.
Mm. Not you though, you weirdo.
Yep.
And she's like,
Yeah.
just cool with it. She's like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Church.
I get it. You shouldn't give me a prop. I get it. I'm at a church. I'm Jewish. I don't get to take communion. I get it. But yeah, that's a cool. I think the dungeon there is pretty good. What did you think of the dungeon design? Like, did any of it jump out to you? It felt very acceptable. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
hate any of it. I didn't love any of it too much.
Yeah.
I loved the music.
Mhm.
And I liked the combat for a good long while, but the dungeon design itself was
Yeah, the puzzles are, I mean, if you've played any RPGs, especially of this ilk, you've seen these puzzles before. They're serviceable.
Oh, most definitely. The thing that I would say is that usually there are like 2 or 3 dungeons in order to get to the next thing. And I would like less.
Yeah, that's something I would definitely agree with. Is like usually there's 2 or 3 sections to get from town or story event to story event, and those dungeons that are just combat and puzzles, I definitely could have used about half as many.
Yeah.
They're not cool enough. Just getting the slightly better sword that you've hidden in them or the slightly better armor was not enough. Though I did enjoy. I think is it here where you assemble like a stack of leaves and
Oh.
sticks.
You can go back to the town you start in and do that, and you push leaves around because they're going to make a bonfire, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That one's fine.
What do you get out of that? I didn't go back to the town. Is
You
mine
get
just
a
like
rainbow
slightly more
conch
powerful?
Shell.
He's
Yeah.
freaking conscious.
Just assume if there's an extra thing to do, it's
It's a
rainbow
conch.
conch.
There's 60 of them in the game.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
You need those if you want to get the the true ending.
I don't know if
Gino, I swear to God, if you tell me about this secret ending one more time, burning my laptop just so I don't have to play this game anymore.
I'm
Damn.
sorry. I'm just giving you the facts, the hard truths. You do meet the person who wants the rainbow conches down in this water place, and she'll give you a bunch of rewards for the conches you've got.
So I was getting so sick of just collecting them that I finally just got fed up, and I was like, who wants these damn conches? And looked it up online. I was like, I have no more time for this.
And it's this little girl running her scheme.
Yep.
Yeah. Conches are hot right now.
They're so hot right now. So after you talk to the Oracle of Tides, he opens up a gateway, and we haven't mentioned it, but there is the game cuts to a man in a chair, like in tattered robes, who's kind of an omniscient narrator for a bit. And it cuts to that guy. Like, you knock on a door after you go through the Oracle of Tides, like, secret back door. You knock on a door after going through a dungeon, and it cuts back to this omniscient narrator who only shows up, like, a few times. And he says, yeah, no one not opened the door, and so the world was doomed. But what happens if someone opened the door? And then he opens his door, and it turns out that that was cool.
That got me. I was like, damn. I actually didn't see that coming.
I didn't either. It was a good move.
Mm-hmm.
And you meet the Great Alchemist, who is apparently the good... He's the yin to the Fleshmancer's yang, basically.
Which, I mean, pretty obvious who was going to be the good one and who was going to be the evil one when they named one the Fleshmancer.
The other one, the Great Alchemist.
This is like, in like the original, I'm pretty sure this is true. Listeners, you can fact check me. But like in the original, or like some story that the Lion King is based on, I know it's Hamlet, but like there's another like, I think traditional fable that it's based on. And in that version, Scar's name it basically means shit.
Oh.
And they're like, why did Scar become evil? And they're like, really? Like,
Maybe it's because
you
his
didn't know?
name was shit his whole life.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true.
You're never going to be king shit.
Yeah,
Well, you'll be king shit, but you'll never be the king of everything.
We named
like
this
Mufasa
guy
means
King.
something like
Yes.
like Mufasa means like king of the like world or something, and the other's like, oh, that's his brother shit.
Owned. Forever.
Anyway.
Yeah, so at this point, you meet the Great Alchemist, Rashawn, and he gives you a couple of quests. He's like, I'll help you, but only if you can prove that you're not going to just get owned. So he makes you he warps you a portal so that you can go get I think it's a bracelet that lets you control, like, there are runes in certain areas that allow you to control the time of day, and they allow you to do laser puzzles, basically. And you get the ability to do that whenever you want, when you complete this dungeon. Then he sends you to another dungeon where he wants you to get a flask that he has, that is the Flask of Time, I believe.
Flask of Infinite Time? Is there something in there?
Yeah. It's a flask that allows whatever materials are inside of it to age at whatever time, whatever speed he wants. So if something needs to age for 100 years, he can instantly do it instead of having to wait 100 years, which is useful for alchemy, I bet. And to get that, he sends you to a mountain, the Mountain of Dread, I think it's Mount Dread. Is that what it's called?
Something
Yeah, or
like
like terror or something bad, whatever. It's not like the Mountain of Sunshine and Rainbows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It turns out the folks who did not want to be solar warriors anymore were prescient. There was another dweller. The solstice warriors who pieced out were completely right.
This dude is messed up.
What did you think of the gorillas? of the baby gorillas.
The baby gorillas.
The baby gorillas are super cute, but the story is terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Tell me
So,
about
like,
the baby gorillas.
I will. This whole dweller's deal is that there was this nature spirit, basically the gorilla matriarch, and he shut her up, not like told her to be quiet, like closed her off in these catacombs, and kept the baby gorillas around. And just every once in a while, he summons one of these baby gorillas and eats it, and forces the gorilla matriarch to watch. And the whole thing is like solstice warriors came and saw this, and they were like, "Oh, we got to do something." But he put this magic spell and everything that the second they leave, they just forget and are terrified of the mountain, but have no idea why. So this gorilla mom is just sitting there watching her kids get eaten for Lord knows how long while no help comes. Horrible.
Yeah, and the mountain is sealed because the Solstice Warriors remember that the mountain is shitty, so they've sealed it twice because they forgot that they sealed it, I guess. So they sealed it again for good measure. So yeah, you go down there. It's honestly the boss isn't that tough.
Like
all things considered,
It's fine.
Skeleton, like a zombie gorilla, basically.
Yeah. Big hands.
Yep, and it does have one of the cooler cutscenes. So like because they need Eclipse magic
yes,
to
it
defeat
does.
this thing. How do they solve this problem? Because they're in the bottom of a mountain, Em.
So Sarai has portal magic, so she like in the anime cutscene carves a gigantic portal and just puts it so you can see the sky through it, and seems like a useful thing that will probably never come up again.
Yeah. Also, why do they need the boat? I always assumed the way the portals worked was only she could go through them. Very clearly not the case. Why don't they just portal everywhere?
Do you need to move a lot of people? Shut up. Shut up.
Asking too many questions.
Sorry.
What? You're saying that they shouldn't have given someone portal powers if they want integrity?
Just make the rule only I can go through the portals. It's easy.
But also, then you can't do a cool
Sick cutscene.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She uses the portals when she wants to and needs to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she doesn't use the sick portals. But yeah, you defeat the Dweller, and then Rashawn, the great alchemist, is like, "I'll help you. I'm joining the party," and he's your fifth party member.
Yeah,
But also, he has a bunch of rules.
That's true. They do add some rules because like he's almighty. So he's like, "Look, if I just solve this for you, the Fleshmancer is going to know, and he's going to destroy all the multiple alternative universes too. So I'll roll with you guys, but I can only be as strong as you are."
Mm.
Which good.
And I won't
good
fight any
storytelling.
Dwellers.
Yeah.
I cannot fight a Dweller.
See, like that's the sort of they're like, "Oh, we have a plot hole here. Let me close it," but like, don't ask any questions about the portals. You know? Don't worry about those.
Yeah, I like that Rashawn kind of explains we're in a multiverse situation, basically. There's multiple universes. There's multiple timelines going on simultaneously here, and he's trying to make sure that the greater struggle between him and the Fleshmancer isn't corrupted by this specific battle that he's helping out in.
Raises the stakes.
Yep. So this is where we left off. We'll go to the end of the game next time. One thing that I think we should talk about in terms of the music is there's a familiar name in the composer list for this game. Em, do you want to tell us who it is?
Is this Chopin again?
Oh, damn it!
That was wild. His actual name, because I don't know.
It's Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. Well, not all of the music in the game, but some of the music in the game was composed by, where is it?
Yasunori Mitsuda.
Thank you. I've been scrolling through Game of the Week up and down, like, where did I say it? I wanted to bring this up.
I've got it right here. I'm helping you out. But who's Yasunori Mitsuda? Why is that person significant?
I don't know, Gino, why?
They did the soundtrack to Chrono Cross.
Yes.
Ooh.
Chrono Cross
Yeah.
or Chrono Trigger?
Definitely did Cross. I think Trigger was a mix of Nobuo Uematsu and Mitsuda.
A lot of bangers in Chrono Trigger too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Trigger was Uematsu as part of the like super team that was in Chrono Trigger. Oh no, he did Chrono Trigger too.
Yeah.
Mitsuda.
Nice.
Final Fantasy V, Secret of Mana. He did sound effects.
And
did
M was just
music.
like, I don't care for this podcasts.
It was just that one song, and then I forgot to turn it back on. I wanted to listen to my friends play games. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I
You can listen to.
I undid it.
It's okay. You should listen to some. It's good. I'll give you some of the songs that are pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to come out as
Check it out later.
anti-podcast on our
Yeah.
gaming
Yes.
podcast.
That's true. But yeah, they used Yasunori Mitsuda's work very sparingly. The rest of the music is done by the in-house composer at Sabotage Studio. So, and it's still good. Like, it's not like, oh, you can tell Mitsuda did the bangers and then, we brought in a ringer for those ones. Like, it's pretty evenly spread. But you can definitely tell that it's Yasunori Mitsuda when you're in a song that he composed. Like, he did the world map music, and the Town of Mirth. Like, those two songs sound real Chrono Crossy, for sure. But yeah, I think that leaves us at just about the halfway point or so. Pete, where do you think we're going? How are you liking it so far? You first.
Okay, so I have a bunch of theories about where we're going, but the one I want to address is that every step of the way, from the moment the Cloud Owl Man guy thing sees Garl, he's like, you're gonna, maybe you can, no, I cannot say. So I'm pretty sure that the Solstice Warriors are playing second fiddle to Garl. Garl is the actual main character of this game.
Ooh.
Because Garl makes all of the important decisions for the party. Garl picks the name of the town. Garl picks a shell when you have to like pick a special shell off the shelf. So I'm like, I'm watching you, Garl.
What would be like the celestial analog? Like Garl's born on the eclipse?
I don't know. He didn't mention when he was born, but
True.
maybe he's just like spirit of the earth or whatever. I don't
He
know.
was born on the leap year.
Yeah.
Sick.
that's only happens once every 4 years. We can't compare to that.
And he's been bathing in the sun and the moon's light.
Yeah.
Let me toss out my big theory.
Mm-hmm.
So first, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. Sums up with Ninja Lady. I'm going to skip that one for now. My big theory is that 1, 2, 3, and 4 are ex-Solstice Warriors. They weren't killed by the Dweller of Strife, but they went over to their side for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fair guess. One thing that I didn't pick up on that I don't think is a spoiler for what y'all have seen, because Rashawn has his ultimate as soon as you get him into your party.
I haven't done a battle with him yet.
Okay,
his
ultimate is.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's both fair. Okay, then I can tell you. I'll tell you next time then if you haven't seen his ultimate.
Okay. I also have to ask a question that will probably be answered later. The moment that you go back to Rashawn with the vial of time or whatever, he's like,
heaves it into the wall.
Yeah, he's like, Garl, throw that into the wall as hard as you can. Why'd he do that?
It's magic. It comes back to him. I don't know why he needed to break it.
Yeah.
I don't know why he needed Garl to break it.
My guess,
specifically Garl.
My guess is the logic. Yeah, it fits with your Garl theory. My thought is like, if it was fake, it would have just stayed shattered.
Yeah.
I know why, but I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Right. I guess we'll find out.
How
many conches do I have to collect to find the answer to that question?
All 60. Damn it.
You need to find out all. You need to get all 60 to get the answer to that question. Actually, though.
That's so many conches.
Oh, we didn't mention the combo system. Like it's like Chrono Trigger. Your characters can do combo attacks. You can have a power from one person and a power from another person make a combo move, and your combo meter goes up the more you do attacks and cast spells.
Yep.
Should have said that. And the combos, like, they're more powerful. Sometimes they give you access to special effects that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Like you can summon the Vespertine's cannons.
Yep.
I very much, and your ultimate meter gets filled up when you do combos. Mm-hmm. So like combos fill up from regular attacks and magic attacks. Ultimate fills up with combos, and then ultimate just gets depleted and it doesn't power up anything else when you use it. But it does basically allow you to beat any number of locks of the appropriate type, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So like summoning the Vespertine will deal, I want to say like 5 or 6 hits of both blunt and slashing damage. So if you just see a bunch of those, just summon the Vespertine if you can, and it'll just defeat the locks for you.
Yeah. In most regular fights, you cannot use an ultimate because it doesn't last long enough.
They don't live long enough. But in boss battles, that is an out. And pro tip, when you fight bosses and you see something that like the ultimate could take care of the lock, you probably want to hold on to the ultimate to deal with those locks instead of just spam them.
Yep.
I found the ultimates don't do enough damage to be worth it on their own. They're much more for like beating locks you can't beat otherwise. So that's kind of where we're at. Looking forward to talking more Sea of Stars next time. Any closing thoughts, Pete M, that you haven't covered?
No, I'm just excited to see where this story goes. We got a lot of questions, but it sounds like we're going to get a lot of answers.
Yeah. I don't want to dwell on this too much, but there is a mini game in this game.
There is. We didn't mention that.
Called Wheels, which is like a weird little slot machine where you're fighting against an opponent, and that one's okay. It takes some getting used to. You definitely have to like read the instruction manual for it just once, and then you'll be like, I see. And then you'll win after that. But yeah, I don't know what actually getting I got a silver wheel the last time I played. What do I do with that?
Probably trade it for conscious.
What the wheels do that you unlock. So the farmost, like the rightmost wheel, you might have noticed that it sucks.
Yes, I did notice that.
It tends to be empty or have really bad symbols on it. Mm-hmm. As you get better wheels, that rightmost wheel sucks less.
I see.
It upgrades one of the 5 outcomes you can get to be not shitty.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. Well, I'm going to probably play that game too.
So. Yeah, and something else I didn't call out. Did you find the quiz master?
No. I found quiz pages.
I was too busy with the BS spinner.
I didn't find where to give those in.
If you go back to the town that's cursed with eternal night, there is a ghost in the leftmost side. You have to get a turbo cookie for it. Now that you have the grapple hour, you can find the turbo cookie. Give the turbo cookie to that ghost, beat that ghost, and then you'll get a key that unlocks a shed in town. Go into that shed, and in the basement, there's a quiz that you can take, and the quiz gives you items you can sell for money. And the quiz is just like stuff about the game and what's happened so far and the mechanics. So it's nothing you won't know necessarily. They're pretty easy too. But I like that because I think it's a reference to Final Fantasy IX.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a...
Oh, right.
There's the ragtime mouse in Final Fantasy IX. He's an enemy who will ask you questions, and the design of the Quizmaster looks very much like the ragtime mouse, and the music that plays is ragtime.
Gino,
in this game, it's ragtime?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. I think that's a reference.
I think it is.
I'll allow it.
What was that, Pete?
I was going to say one last question.
Yes.
I assume I get into the Golden Pelican at some point. Should I be able to do that yet?
No, not at all.
Cool. That's all I wanted to know.
The what?
You're gonna have to collect a bunch of conchas.
Ah!
It's a restaurant in the pirate town.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's the best restaurant in the
Oh,
game.
Yeah.
And you need a reservation.
Yep, they'll kick you out if you don't have a reservation.
They kicked me out, and I never thought about it again.
You're like, clearly this isn't part of the game. Never mind.
I didn't think about it, but then I went back to Brisk and saw it a second time and was like, should I have gone here already? I feel like I'm late in the game.
I've been thinking about it constantly.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to our coverage of Sea of Stars. We'll be back with part 2 next time. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at Deep Listens Pod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That is our email address if you want to be a person who sends an email and gets the email siren. And reminder, you can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. Thank you, Pete.
Yep. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Em.
Thank you. I think that I would be the Lunar Knight, Pete can be the Solar Knight, and Gino can be the Garl.
Nice.
Oh, I'd be happy to be the Garl. It would be my honor to be the Garl. Dear listeners, may you be the Garl in your friends' lives. Till next time, peace.